Hello, in today's guide video I'm going to be showing you the best loadout for you to use if you're playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Zombies solo. Now I'm going to explain what makes things work better than others, and I'm also going to be showing you some alternatives just in case you haven't finished leveling up yet. If you enjoyed the guide, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, turn your notifications on if you want to see more zombies content. Also check out my other videos. I've done a playthrough up to round 21 just to show new players kind of how zombies works, and I've also done another video, the beginner's guide to zombies, where I just show you everything that you need to know to get good at zombies from the beginning. So for the loadout, go across to weapons, and then the loadout option will actually be blocked off until level 4. You'll have to just go in with a pistol until then. But once you hit level 4, once you've played a few games and got a little bit of XP, you'll unlock the loadout, and then we can head in. Now when you first start out, I genuinely think the XM4, the first assault rifle, is a really solid choice. You could also use the Marine SP shotgun, although I think that's a little bit more difficult for new players, but it is a bit more powerful later on. So the XM4 is probably good up until round kind of 25 to 30. That's probably about as far as you're going to be going for your first few games. The shotgun, the Marine SP, will take you a little bit further than that, but it's just a little bit harder to use early on because you'll find yourself running out of ammo quite a lot. There is a weapon we'll talk about later that you unlock much later, but it kind of blows both of these out of the water. One really nice thing about Black Ops 6 is that every weapon shares most of the same attachments. So the attachments do very similar things across different weapon classes, and then sometimes for certain weapons there's a couple of specialty ones, but generally you can apply the same ideas across a bunch of different weapons. So let's just talk about attachments with the XM4 to start off with. So the main thing that you probably want in terms of attachments, the main two things, is to have some sort of optic that lets you get headshots up close. So I really like reflex optics. This is very much personal choice which one you like, just something that gives you really clear picture, and all of these will have really fast ADS time as well, so that's really helpful. And then the muzzle, as soon as you unlock it, you want to put a suppressor on. That's because when you use a suppressor in zombies, although the zombies are always going to be walking towards you anyway, you're not going to be able to stealth your way around them, it means they all drop extra salvage. And that's super important because you're going to be using salvage to upgrade the rarity of your gun in-game, and so you want as much to drop as possible. So there's no downside to using a suppressor, just whack that on. For everything else, you really want the gun to be easy to control, give you as fast movement speed as possible, and preferably have a little bit extra ammo in the magazine. So for the barrel, I quite like using the reinforced barrel because that gives you a little bit of damage range and bullet velocity. The short barrel, you might think, oh, really good for movement. Weirdly, it's not. It's good for jumping, and you probably won't be shooting that many zombies while jumping. So I think reinforced barrel, giving you an extra little bit of damage range and bullet velocity, isn't super useful, but it's better than nothing. For the underbarrel, I like the precision foregrip. That reduces aiming idle sway, so when you look down your sight, how much the reticle's moving around, it reduces that a bit and gives you some horizontal recoil control. Then for your magazine, I like using extended mag 1. Now you can use extended mag 2, that will give you obviously a bigger magazine, but it slows down your sprint to fire speed and your ADS speed, which I think is quite a big deal, and your reload speed. So I personally don't like using these bigger extended mags. I like just using extended mag 1, so then you've got a 45 round mag, which will obviously double up to 90 when you pack a punch, but it's also quite quick to reload and it doesn't damage your ADS speed or anything like that either. So I like using that one. If you don't ADS at all, you could use the massive extended mag 3. Some weapons like shotguns and things you don't really need to ADS, maybe then you'll choose it then. For the rear grip, I like the commando grip. It gives you sprint to fire speed, super useful in zombies because you'll be sprinting all the time to kind of train zombies up, and then you'll want to turn around and be able to shoot. And then aim down sight speed's a little bit faster as well, so I think that's really helpful. In terms of your stock, this is quite useful because you can boost your movement speed. So the balanced stock gives you strafing movement speed and hipfire movement speed. Super useful just to be able to move around sideways when you're aiming. The light stock as well is pretty good, hipfire movement, movement speed and strafing movement speed, so I'd whack one of those on. Personally, I don't bother with the laser. They do mean that your hipfire spread's a bit lower. I tend to ADS quite a lot, so I don't really need it that much. All of the other ones aren't really worth using, but steady aim could be useful, but you only get 8 attachment slots, so that's generally the one I'd skip. You could, if you want to pick that instead of the barrel. But then fire mods, I quite like having either rapid fire or recoil springs. Recoil springs will reduce your recoil by quite a lot. That's useful if you're struggling with the recoil on a gun. So if you've got a gun that's got really high recoil, maybe put that on. But in my experience, none of the Black Ops 6 guns have particularly bad recoil. So I'd rather have rapid fire, which does add a bunch of recoil, but it also increases the fire rate, just meaning you're firing more bullets much faster. It's almost like having double tap or something from the older Zombies games. It means you're going to be doing more damage, especially to those special zombies and the elite zombies where you need to put out a lot of damage. So I really like rapid fire. So those attachments are going to appear on basically every weapon, not the launchers and stuff, but most weapons are going to have these attachments, and they're the ones I'd select pretty much whatever I was going to do. So if I switched over to using a shotgun, so I can put the Marine SP on, and then you can still see I've got a reflex on there, I've got a suppressor, same sort of thing. For the barrel, got a long barrel on, got the precision foregrip on there to get rid of the idle sway, got a light stock for movement speed. I have got a laser on there because there's only 7 slots on this shotgun for some reason, and then I've got rapid fire on. So you can see it's all pretty much the same attachments for a completely different weapon class. Now, talking about the very best class, there is a weapon that I think is probably the easiest weapons to use once you've got a little bit of experience in zombies. And thankfully, it takes a few levels to unlock them, so that is a benefit. The GS45. So GS45s you're not going to unlock until a little bit later into the game, but when you do unlock them, and you can actually buy one off the wall in Liberty Falls right at the beginning, which is super useful. They are incredibly powerful, and that's because they have a trick up their sleeve. When you pack-a-punch them, they start firing explosives, which is just incredible. Combined with PhD Flopper, which is a perk that stops you from doing damage to yourself, you can literally just fire at the ground and all the zombies around you will probably get killed in the earlier rounds and at least get knocked down in later rounds. So super useful. It's what a lot of the best zombies players are using to get insanely high rounds. So like I said, you do unlock them quite late, but they're well worth it. And you can buy it to try out just a single version of it if you want to, just from the wall in Liberty Falls. So the GS45, I've set this as my Zombies build. And what that means is, if I pick up this gun in game, it's going to be using this build. So if I pick it up off the wall in Liberty Falls, it will immediately use this particular loadout. To set that, you just need to press the left trigger on PlayStation or Xbox. If you're using keyboard and mouse, you press 1, the 1 number, that's what will do it. And that will set it as your Zombies build. So you can see there at the top right, it says Zombie Build Set. And this is a slightly different build because it's a slightly different type of gun. So for this one, you only get 5 attachments because it's a pistol. And so I've still put a suppressor on there because I want that higher salvage rate. I've got the extended mag 1, just like before. I've got a steady aim laser because I'm entirely going to be hip firing this. And I've got rapid fire, just like before. But I've also got a Kimbo. So a Kimbo means that you're going to be dual wielding these, which means you get 2, which is super useful. Partly if you just want to dump out a load of damage, you can fire both at once. But then also you can do a thing where you fire one, and then as soon as you need to reload it, you can just start firing the other one, and you'll actually probably be able to have enough ammunition to keep on firing that other one before you've reloaded the first one, which means you can just constantly be shooting, so there's never going to be a time where zombies are going to be able to attack you and you're still reloading, which is obviously a bit of a nightmare. Now, the GS45s do have one big problem, one big drawback, especially if you're using them as your primary weapon, and that's that you can't store much ammo for them. You're going to be running out all of the time, and this actually becomes less of a problem later on because you'll be killing loads of manglers and elite zombies, and they all drop ammo, and you'll have tons of essence, so you can just buy more ammo if you need to. But in those earlier rounds, from when you pack-a-punch them up to about round 25, it can actually be a bit of a pain because if you've pack-punched them, the ammo is more expensive and you are going to be running out all the time. So I think it's quite a good idea to take another gun in and then use the GS45s as kind of a backup that you keep making more powerful until eventually they take over as your main gun after round 25 or so. So the GS45s are absolutely amazing. Now, in terms of the rest of the loadout, I really like using the knife. Both the melee weapons are really good. I think they're very, very underrated. The knife is going to kill zombies in one hit for much longer. It does more damage. The baseball bat is a little bit faster, but you unlock it super late, level 52. So I don't think it's really worth worrying about that much. And very quickly on, after about round 3, maybe even, or 4, the baseball bat's going to be a 2-hit kill rather than a 1. Whereas the knife, really good for ages, especially if you spend a little bit of salvage just upgrading the rarity for it. So knife's really good. In terms of field upgrades, I really like Ether Shroud for solo. So much so, I actually spent my second prestige token, which gives you a permanent unlock. I spent it on Ether Shroud because you do unlock it super late, but it's really useful. You get to basically go invisible whenever you want. So as soon as you start getting overwhelmed by zombies, you can hit that. All the zombies will lose interest in you and wander off, and you can get somewhere safer. It's also super useful for doing things like if you need to run and buy perks, or you want to go and interact with something in an Easter egg step. Ether Shroud is absolutely amazing. When you first start out, the only thing you're going to have access to is Energy Mine. That's still really, really good, really powerful, useful. Again, if you're starting to get surrounded, you can throw an Energy Mine down. The downside for it is that it does take a couple of seconds to go off, so obviously you could be killed before it actually activates, which kind of sucks. You need to be aware of when you're going to go down or when you're in trouble a little bit earlier with Energy Mine. Frenzied Guard gives you all of your armor back straight away, and with a couple of augments, that's actually quite strong, but it only really works well once you've got 3 plates of armor. It's not massively useful before then. If you're playing in multiplayer, it's a bit more useful because it taunts you. So it basically means all of the enemies will just attack you, and then that can mean that your other teammates can get stuff done or revive someone, something like that. Dark Flare seems completely useless as far as I can tell, and Healing Aura is only really useful in a team because it lets you heal other people. So solo, if you've got only Energy Mine unlocked, go with that, it's absolutely fine. But once you've got Ether Shroud unlocked, I would strongly suggest you use that. You can also put a couple of augments on there, so I'll just show you those for now. So if you go up to field upgrades and then Ether Shroud, I've got the one at the moment where nearby players are also cloaked. Not very useful because I haven't unlocked very many. Solo, if I had everything unlocked, I would probably put Burst Dash on, which warps you forward a bit, killing all of the normal zombies near you, which obviously can help if you're surrounded, especially later on. You can do this one where when you go into Ether Shroud, you can swap to a dedicated melee weapon as it's imbued with Dark Ether energy, and you can keep on killing zombies with your melee weapon. It's a lot stronger, and you can keep getting kills, which will allow you to stay invisible for longer. That's obviously pretty cool too. And for the minor augment, this is a really important one. Extra charge increases your max charges by 1. Because you're using this as a kind of get out of jail free card, you're using it when you're in a bit of a panic. Being able to store 2 charges is super useful because you'll often find, you've run out of ammo, you get surrounded, you use it. Before you get to ammo again, you might end up needing to use it again. So really, really helpful to have just that extra charge. I think that's much more useful in extension because the duration of it is already long enough to get out of trouble. So I don't think you really need that. Right, going back to your normal loadout, the tactical that I'd strongly suggest you bring with you is a decoy. Again, you unlock this kind of late. Concussions and smokes are useful to try and distract zombies. Concussions will stun them just for like a second or 2, and then smokes in theory will hide you, but I just find them really unreliable. Like if you're using them in a situation where you're in a lot of trouble, they're not that reliable. They're not always going to stun all of the zombies. The smoke isn't always going to hide you. It seems to be a bit hit or miss. Stim shots seem completely useless in this. You can heal with them, but your health comes back fairly quickly anyway, so it seems like a waste of your tactical slot. And shock charges just don't seem that useful. They just stun zombies in a very small area for a while. Decoys, once you throw it, all normal zombies nearby will run towards it. Even if there's like 30 zombies on screen, they will all run to the decoy. It only lasts a little while, not as long as a monkey bomb, but it's normally enough to maybe clear a route so you can escape. I find decoys unbelievably useful. And then for lethals, I really like using Molotovs. All of these are pretty good. All of these kind of work. I like the fact with Molotovs, you know exactly where it's going to hit and the area it's going to do, and it will damage quite a big group of zombies, which is really useful. The combat axe can be good because it'll kill normal zombies pretty much in a one-shot kill, and it'll often kill a line of them, and you can go pick it up and keep on reusing it. And then pretty much all of the explosives are useful just if you need to chuck them into a group of zombies and then kill them. To be honest though, in the game, I don't really use lethals all that much. So this would be my loadout. This would be my perfect zombies loadout. It's having the GS45s, akimbo, Ether Shroud, particularly with the extra charge augment added onto it, a knife for my melee weapon, decoys for the tactical, and then lethals, whatever you want, but the Molotovs mostly. Have a go with this loadout, see how it works for you. If you get on well with it, let us know in the comments. If you think there's something else that's maybe being overlooked that's really good. I've heard people saying the AS Valve's really good, but you unlock it very, very late. The second shotgun is really, really powerful as well. That can be really useful. Let us know in the comments what you're using and what you really like. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye.